Yesterday I had a very interesting conversation with somebody in a business context. Now I'd never spoken with this person before, and they're a manager in a company, a manager of quite a lot of people. And the purpose of the call was for me to find out more about this person. We'd never spoken before yesterday, to find out more about their department and specifically to find out about the relationships within that department. Now, during the course of the call, I found out something that was really interesting. It was not the purpose of the call, but it was kind of a byproduct really, and it was something that really, it opened my eyes and reminded me about something that's really, really important. While we were talking, I threw in what was quite a random question. Now, very often, if you want to find out what people really think about something, don't ask them when they're kind of expecting the question. Ask them when they're really not expecting the question and note what their first answer is. So what I asked them was, first of all, would it be okay for me to ask you something that's quite random? And they said, yes, it would be. And I said, okay, so you have 3 managers who report to you. Imagine that I gave you a magic wand now, and I'm going to give you 3 wishes, 1 wish for each of those managers. And for each of those people, you could give them a skill or an attitude, or develop a skill and an attitude that they already have to make them better at their job. What would you give them? The way that most people would answer that question, they'd answer it exactly as I asked it. They'd tell me something that could be improved about that person. They might say, I'd help them to improve their timekeeping, or maybe I'd help them to improve their organisation skills, or maybe I'd help them with their written work. But what was interesting with this particular person, it wasn't what they said, it was the way that they answered the question that I found really interesting. I'm not going to give you specifics here because it was a confidential conversation, but it was along the lines of, okay, so person number 1 is very, very good at creating relationships with people. So what I'd give them is perhaps some better skills in the area of strategic thinking, and putting those 2 together, then that really develops them as a person, as a whole package. Person number 2 already is very good at the analytical thinking, analytical skills. So what I'll perhaps give them is a little bit more empathy. And person number 3, they're one of the hardest workers that I've ever come across. So perhaps what I'll give them is the ability to kick back sometimes and not have the nose to the grindstone every second of the day, and perhaps a way to find more fun and more enjoyment in what they're doing. And immediately a pattern jumped out at me. You've probably noticed the pattern. The first thing that they told me about each of those people was something that they're already good at. Now that's not how I asked the question. The question was asked, tell me something that can be improved about the person. But the first thing that they said was something that's already good about them. And what they're doing in my mind here is demonstrating what is one of the most fundamental skills of being a great leader. And to me it's summed up so well in this book here by a guy called John Addison. The book's called Real Leadership, and to me this guy comes across as being a fantastic leader. It's a good book. It's about 300 pages long, and for me the whole book, or the message of the book, could be summed up in the title of one section in the book, and it says, look for the best in people. That's exactly what happened in my conversation yesterday. Although I asked this person to tell me something that could be improved about each of his managers, he told me something that was already good about them, and then he told me something that could be used to help them to become even better. Now that's sometimes difficult to do. It's very easy to see people's faults, it's very easy to see people's shortcomings. Sometimes it can be more difficult to look for their good points. But in my experience, it's a quality that a lot of leaders have got. Not just leaders in business, but people who are very successful in life very often have this ability, have this skill to look for good things in people. When we remember to develop the habit of looking for the good in people, we become better leaders. Not just leaders in business. We become better at creating rapport with people, and when we create better rapport with them, we create better relationships with them. I can't think of a single area in life where it's not an advantage to look for people's good qualities. And when it comes to building better relationships, I think Tony Robbins summed it up probably the best I've ever heard when he said, to a great extent, the quality of your life is dependent on the quality of your relationships. And one of the ways that you can create great relationships is develop the habit of looking for people's great points.